There are loved ones.
Hello once again, lovers of great video games. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my white room. Now, today I'm going to be talking about a game which has gotten high praise all around, and came out a little while ago, but I just got to it recently. So, here's my review of Bioshock Infinite. I played for the Xbox 360. There are three main characters in this game. First off, Booker DeWitt. He is the main character that you play as throughout the game, and you meet him right away in the story, going in a boat, going to this lighthouse, which takes him to the city Columbia. I'll get more into this later. He's basically trying to search for this woman named Elizabeth, and all I know is that he needs to find her to wipe away this debt that he's gotten from gambling. Yeah, that's the main thing about Booker DeWitt. Second main character is the person he's trying to find, Elizabeth, and we first meet her like fairly quickly into the game, and she's basically this girl who has these powers, and she's able to tear holes and bring in objects or look at objects in other dimensions or realities. She doesn't really know a lot about her past or future, and she is probably one of the more interesting characters in this game. Last main character is Zachary Comstock. He is the main villain of the game, and just like with Bioshock 1 and 2, you don't really see him until the very end of the game. He is the ruler of Columbia. He is known as the Prophet of Columbia, and like I said, he's the main villain. So those are the three main characters of this game, and now getting to the plot. Just a really quick note, I will be talking about the very end of the game after the credits, and so know that. I might do a little bit of spoilers before that, so keep that in mind if you haven't finished the game. And so yeah, I'm going to try to make this quick because I want to get to the ending of the game. Basically with the plot, you start as Booker DeWitt, like I said, and then you take a boat to a lighthouse. Lighthouse transports you upwards into Columbia, and this is where the game takes place. It is in the city. It seems all hunky-dory, happy times, it's like a paradise almost. And then very quickly things go awry, and you find yourself fighting every person in sight. I'll get more into that with the gameplay part, but yeah, and your main goal, like I said, is finding Elizabeth, who you don't really know why you need to find her. You just know that you need to find this girl to erase your debt. And so yeah, that is the game's main plot. In terms of graphics, the graphics are really, really nice. They look amazing on basically any console, any TV, and they're not like crisis level graphics, but I think the style of graphics that the creators are going for works really, really well, and it looks really nice all the time in terms of character models, in terms of environments, in terms of attacks, all that type of stuff. So they just look really nice. Now, getting into gameplay. Basically, you have a number of ways to go about gameplay. You have your melee attack, which is like this three-pronged claw thing that you use. You can hit people with it with your gear, which you acquire throughout the game. You can give it multiple abilities, like you can hit someone and they'll be electrified and sort of so stunned for a few seconds, and you can just keep doing that and take out enemies that way. You can find gear to extend it, so you could be a ways away from someone, you could melee and it'll still hit them. So that's kind of cool. The main thing that or the main two things that you will use to fight in this game is vigors and weapons. And weapons range from anything from a pistol to a rocket launcher. And so you have a very large variety. A lot of the basic weapons like the pistol, sniper rifle, shotgun, machine gun, all that type of stuff. There's also some just kind of unique weapons for the game, like the hand cannon, the repeater, I think it's called, and just other things like that. And then with the vigors, they are basically like the plasmids of the first two Bioshock games, except with a different name. And also, you can't find like various 20 different vigors. There are, I think, 8 vigors in the whole game, and you find them throughout the story by progressing naturally through the story. You can't acquire all of them right away, and then you can upgrade them as you go along. I thought that that worked really well in terms of the vigors. They all had their own little unique uses, and you kind of had to experiment and figure out what worked best with what situation. I thought that the game did that in a really well, or in a really good way. The rail system that you used with your Claudio kind of fast travel to places. It worked. It worked well when it was needed. Especially in like the last battle where you had to get to places really quickly and take out enemies. Other than that, you really don't really have a huge use for it. I was kind of expecting the game as a whole to be a lot more open world than it was. But the game itself is very linear. You go from one place to another following the story progression, and you don't really have a lot of free time to just kind of wander around, explore the Columbia as a whole. I'll get to more of this in the enjoyment and the spoilery section. I think that's about it with gameplay. If I forgot anything and you want to ask my opinion on it, comment below and I'll try to respond to you. Going into enjoyment though, I enjoyed the game, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. For one thing, I thought that Elizabeth was going to be actually fighting with you for most of the gameplay. I could have sworn I saw a gameplay trailer thing a while back that showed Elizabeth actually fighting with you, and like she'll launch a power and then you would launch a power. They would combine and take out enemies. She basically kind of sits there and she supplies you with ammunition like ammo, salts, which power up your vigors, and then health. But besides that, she really doesn't have a huge part in terms of the gameplay. She can lockpick things, and she's there for story purposes, but it's basically you on your own for the whole game, just fighting off enemies and everything, which kind of disappointed me a little bit. Also, like I said before, the open world aspect of it, it's a very, very linear game for the most part. You can explore a little bit, but there's no side missions. There's not really free reign to explore different areas. Once you go to one area and you keep going, you can't really go back. You're kind of stuck where you are, and you have to go forward. So that part kind of annoyed me, but that might have just been me expecting a game, which it wasn't. So that might have been my fault. I also felt that the story kind of started off a little slow for me. I felt that the pacing could have been a little bit better. It picked up and it got a lot better after about a few hours into the game, once you have Elizabeth and you start investigating these things. But starting out, I thought that the game could have worked a little bit better, especially in the beginning, because you go to the raffle and then you're gonna either throw the ball at the couple or at the announcer, and the guy stops you, and then you start taking out guys. I thought that they could have started you in the fighting in a much more much better way. I thought that it was kind of sudden, like, oh, I guess I'm shooting up the place now. I thought they could have done that a little bit better, introduced the fact that you are the outlaw in this place, and showed you kind of why and how that came to be. So, yeah, that's just kind of my slight issues with the game, which kind of brought it down for me a tad. Overall, don't get me wrong, it's a really, really, really good game. Really nice, really well done. I just had a few issues with it, and I thought it was a little bit overhyped. So, yeah, like I said, I will talk about the ending to the game after the credits, which are about to start up soon. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. Yeah, as always, my good people, my name is Pell, and as always, keep on gaming.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by? By and by is a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky.
And if you are still watching, you are here to see my thoughts on the ending to Bioshock Infinite. Now, by this point, you've probably seen a lot of theories on this game from various different people. I watched Phil DeFranco's version and I saw Ultimate Chance's version. Those are the only two that I've really looked at thus far. And they give a lot of different and interesting opinions. In terms of the story, Ending, I kind of had a inkling in the back of my head that I did with like I did with the other Bioshock games. I felt that Booker was going to be linked to Comstock in some way. I wasn't sure if he was going to turn out to be him. I was kind of looking for similarities between the two as I was playing, just to see if there was anything that could support that. I didn't see anything as I was playing, but obviously Booker becomes Comstock, and it's just a continuous cycle, and until obviously it's broken, he's drowned, that version of Booker DeWitt is killed. I like that you got to go to Rapture at the very end just for like a minute or two, and apparently I saw some people talking about this, that when you get to a certain part in the original Bioshock game, you can actually hear the songbird dying like it does at the end of Infinite, which I think is a really cool idea. If the creators of the game had that in mind from the very beginning, that's a really cool way, and I give props to them. Yeah, backtracking a little bit, the final battle sucked to try to get through. I don't know why, but I struggled immensely with it. Because the power source just kept getting hammered. It took me about 10 tries to finally start to figure out the best way to kind of take out enemies and protect the power source. But by the last time I was kind of getting it down. I was doing really well by the last blimp. So yeah, ending battle kind of sucked. One idea that I kind of saw and that I kind of agree with is that if this version of, or the version of Booker DeWitt, which becomes Comstock, if he's dead, and thus Comstock never exists, means DeWitt, in the reality that we see after the credits, he has Anna, his child, who is Elizabeth, and it's quite possible that if he is destined to become a big person, no matter what reality, it's possible that now that Comstock is no more and not a possibility, he becomes Andrew Ryan, who comes up with Rapture. So I thought that was a really interesting theory. If they do make a final Bioshock game which kind of ties up the series, which I think they should, and I think would be a really cool way to show that all these games are connected, at least the first one in Infinite. I don't think Bioshock 2 really had a huge impact on the series. I think that would be a really cool way to do it. But yeah, I don't want to spend half an hour going over my ideas for the ending. I'd love to hear your ideas down below, or message me or something like that. But yeah, the ending I thought was a little bit predictable, but the ideas behind the ending are really fascinating, and I love to discuss them. So that is my thoughts on the ending of the game. I hope this wasn't too long. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again. If you so choose, I'd appreciate it immensely. As always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on gaming.